back to our channel. So we just finished watching episode 3 of Black Lightning. This episode was titled Lawanda, the Book of the Burial. And we haven't really been doing a good job of saying the titles of these episodes.
Nope.
But going forward, we'll definitely keep them included in each video.
And by we, he means he.
What did you think of the episode? I really liked it, but
this was my favorite. I think I'm all in on Black Lightning now after this show. It was funny, but it also had like a lot of drama in it, and it's a juicy show. I'm interested now.
Yeah, it definitely had a lot of wow moments for me. Mm-hmm. There were a number of times where I was just sitting there enjoying everything, and then something would happen and I'd be like, oh wow, like that's interesting, or wow, that was kind of funny, or wow, I can't believe that person said that.
Right.
So for me, that was really interesting for this episode.
It kept you on your toes this episode. There was a lot of funny, drama, everything that you want in a TV show.
Yeah. So just a quick breakdown of kind of what happens in this episode. We're dealing with the after effects of the death of Lawanda. And that's kind of how the episode starts out. And Jefferson and his family are in church with the rest of the community, and they're kind of the pastor is at the front of the church giving his sermon and kind of speaking about Lawanda and her sacrifice, and just kind of challenging the community to stand up against the 100.
Right.
And I thought that was, I love how the episode started. It carries the weight. Like, the death of Lawanda isn't just like a small thing.
Right.
Which I think is really, really cool, because we see how it affected Jefferson. So it seems like anytime somebody passes away in this episode, or anytime anything bad happens to people in this city, like, it's going to be carried through. It's not something that they just kind of brush off their shoulders. Like, everybody seems to be very much impacted by the things that are going on. With that said, like, I like the Reverend, the guy playing the Reverend. I've seen him in so many different things, and I feel like he's played a pastor a couple times. Actually, I think he's...
Has he? Yeah. I know he's been in other things, but I don't remember him being a pastor.
Yeah. But that's one of the new... So that was another thing I liked about this episode. We kind of got a couple new characters introduced. Mm-hmm. One being the Reverend. The other being Lady Eve, played by
Scott, which we all knew was gonna be in the show, but we didn't know when she was gonna appear. So that was cool.
I didn't know what type of, like, how much weight she would bring. Like, would she just be like this famous person that we'd be like, oh, that's Jill Scott? Mm-hmm. Or would, like, her character have weight? And I feel like her character has a lot of weight. Mm-hmm. And just like the one scene we see her in, she brings a lot of weight. You
don't even pay attention to the fact that she's Jill Scott.
I'm really loving how, like, just how this show is written. Like, there are some really powerful lines that are said. I think Jill Scott has a line where she's like, I don't mind them praying to God.
No, I don't mind them believing in God.
I don't mind them believing in God as long as they don't try and take these streets back. Yeah. And it's just like, what?
Yeah.
That was one of those
that
wow
was crazy,
moments.
Yeah.
Anything else that stood out to you?
You already know what stood out to me. When this girl came to her father and her mother and said, hey, yeah, I'm having sex on Saturday. Y'all cool? Like, what?
That was...
And nobody got whooped. Like...
That was one of the... Even Jefferson says the same thing. Like, when him and his ex-wife were talking, and he's talking to Lynn, and he's like, my dad back in the day would have... I love it. Like, I've said it a couple times already. Black culture is so much in this show. And he was just like, he said this would have been some white folks mess.
Some white folks mess, yeah.
And that was funny to me, because growing up, like, I've heard my parents say stuff like that. And it's funny, like, you know, so it's easy to relate to.
It was also scary because, you know, we have 2 girls.
Yeah, and so when you start to relate, you start wondering, like, I guess as parents, you want to be liberal and stuff like that, and you're just like, do we want to be that liberal? That seems very liberal.
I don't know. Woo.
That
But it was really It was funny how they did it.
It was funny, and it was shocking, like where they put that scene, that conversation to start, because Jefferson and Lynn are having like a pretty serious conversation, and then Jennifer comes downstairs to talk to them, and that's what she has to and that's what she has to talk
and
about.
Nonchalantly at that, like it was real nonchalant, like, hey, yeah, you know, it's that time. It's happening on Saturday. Okay.
And I love it.
We just like looked at the screen like, wait, what?
So I love that scene as well. That was a great scene.
And then the other one was this man asked how he showered. And then he proceeded to ask how he wiped, how he dried himself.
Jefferson started that conversation, and I had no clue where he was going with it.
I had no idea where he was going with this.
And by the time he got to his punchline, I was on his side. Like when the conversation started, I was pretty much on Khalil's side. I like Khalil. Khalil is probably one of my favorite characters. I feel like he's very real and very down to earth, and from him and Jennifer having the conversation about, you know, where they stand as far as their sexual experience, like he's very upfront and honest, to the conversation that he has with Jefferson, and then obviously last episode the conversation that he had with Jennifer. Like I like his honesty, and I like the amount of weight his character brings. I don't know what their plans are for him, but he brings a certain level of like groundedness to the show. I mean, even more grounded. The show's very grounded, but I think he's one of those characters that brings a lot of it to the episodes.
I just hate, you know, what happened to him at the end, you know. It's starting to be like, you know, Arrow and Flash, where it's just like, you know, everybody can't be, you know, happy.
Nobody can be happy.
Yeah,
There has to be a certain, and it feels like it's more so in this type of show. Jefferson is dealing with a lot of loss, so more so into this episode, like Jefferson is dealing with his own thing of he's dealing with his daughter wanting to have sex. Him and Lynn have a disagreement about, you know, obviously with him being Black Lightning, and that leads to her wanting to have custody of their daughters.
Right.
Or of Jennifer.
Jennifer, yeah.
Or not custody, but she wants her to live with him, or live with her.
Yeah.
And then you have Jefferson feeling powerless in his ability to kind of unable to persuade the Reverend to not do the march. He can't seem to get Henderson to get enough police support. So this is one of the really cool things. Like I said in our last episode, I like the character Jefferson Pierce. I really like him, the character. And normally what we see in all the other DC shows is that we start to see like chinks in the armor of the superhero persona. Like we see chinks in the armor of Green Arrow. We see, you know, the flaws in Flash. We see the flaws in Supergirl. We're seeing a lot of the flaws in Jefferson Pierce, and they're not really his fault. It's the flaws of the society and the community that he's a part of and that starts to kind of chip away at him. And this is, I think, the second episode where they've referred to him as Black Jesus.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm just kind of filing in the back of my head, because it's clear that Jefferson doesn't like being referred to as Black Jesus. But could there be this possibility that it could feed into what Lynn was talking about, maybe him being addicted? Maybe he's somewhat addicted to the hype of the idea of being the hero, being the problem solver and everything.
That's interesting. I mean, I haven't thought much of the Black Jesus thing.
It's something that stood out to me because it's the second episode, and that's, I mean...
The third episode?
No, it's the second episode that they referenced Black Jesus.
Okay.
So with that in mind, I'm just filing it away, wondering if that's going to come up again somewhere else down the line. One last thing that kind of stood out to me, and once again, it's a new character that get introduced, but it's kind of a two-part thing. It's the development of Anessa's character, because now she's starting to kind of understand her abilities and kind of starting to play with those. But it's the other side of Anessa, which is like Anessa's a player. Like she ain't out here trying to really be in no relationship. Which leads to us getting introduced to a new character, which is Grace. I guess she's a librarian by day and a bartender by night.
Yeah. I mean, this show is just full of interesting characters.
But it was interesting because you're able to see this other side of Vanessa, which is clearly like she has an issue with commitment, and which leads her to breaking up with her girlfriend, and now at some point or another we know she's gonna start pursuing Grace. Whatever that turns into, we don't know. Obviously it'll probably get physical at some point, but based on what I've heard, like Grace's character is in the comics, and so I'm wondering how close to the comics they're gonna keep her character, and how far their relationship is gonna go based on that. Also, another Easter egg: this is the second episode that we've heard a reference to The Outsiders. The first time we heard the reference to it was in Arrow.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the second time we've now heard it in Black Lightning. And for those who don't know, The Outsiders is a group that Black Lightning led the first time around as Black Lightning, that Batman kind of put him in charge of in the comics. And then in the second iteration of The Outsiders, Anessa's a part of The Outsiders.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, or it could be interesting if at some point in time, if Black Lightning starts having his own team, maybe if they take on the name The Outsiders again, or something like that, or if Vanessa starts her own team on the side.
Okay.
Just a couple things that like stood out in the episode to us. Obviously, we're trying to kind of really just touch on the major things, and just give a review on the things that stuck out to us, things that we thought were either funny or impactful or that are going to really matter going forward in the season. Is there anything that you think I missed? Anything else that probably stood out?
You did miss one part.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out why Gamby deleted the footage of Tobias being at the march.
Yeah, that was very subtle.
Yeah.
But it seems like he says like, I'm sorry,
Jefferson.
As he deletes it.
What do you guys think is going on? I want some comments.
Yeah, please, because we can bounce stuff off each other in the comments back and forth.
Yeah.
I definitely have a thought on what it could possibly be, but I'll share it with you guys in the comments if you guys want to talk back and forth in those. That was another thing that was subtle, but definitely going to matter later down the road.
Yep.
Speaking of which, just really quick, I like Tobias Whale. I like he
does.
Tobias Whale, once again, show is well written. The line, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die, is my line. Like, that line was so cold-blooded. Like, Tobias Whale is my guy.
And just the way he said it, too.
Yeah, like, from the actor to the way his character... I like Tobias Whale. Tobias Whale and Lady Eve, like, Black Lightning has some really good villains lined up so far.
Yeah.
You know, and they're not, like, super powered or anything. At least we don't know that they are.
Right.
But they are just, they're ruthless.
Yeah.
And I really like them. So, share with us what you're thinking, or what you liked about the episode, or anything that stood out to you. And like always, like, comment, share, subscribe.
You took my part. Like, comment, share, subscribe.
You feel good about yourself now?
I do.
And we'll see you guys next time. We have a couple more videos lined up for the week. So this might be actually a good week. We'll probably have a couple videos coming out. And then obviously in a couple weeks, we have Black Panther. We
already have our tickets.
Yep, so we will actually have that video out as soon as we see the movie. We might actually do like a YouTube live thing. So as soon as we leave the theater, we have some special guests lined up that'll be special as far as special to us. We don't want you guys to think we have like super like movie stars or anything, but like they're special to us. And so, yeah, stay tuned. See you guys later.